Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and if it sounds like I'm really tired, it's because I've tried this 3 different times, and this is the third and hopefully final, fingers crossed, attempt at doing this. Every single time we've done it, it just kept messing up. So let's pray. And you know what? At this rate, even if it messes up, sorry, we're gonna give you we're gonna give you a warning in advance. If it messes up, it messes up. We're just getting through it because I don't know what's going on, you know. But we've got my buddy Dale Niehaus. How you doing, Dale?
Oh, doing good. Just it was raining pretty bad earlier here in Oklahoma, but it's seemed to have stopped since about an hour ago. So yeah,
That's good. We haven't had rain in a few days, a few weeks actually. Well, not weeks, but a little bit of time. So I would like rain again.
Well, you never know. Some of that might go that way on the East Coast. You never know.
Well, hey, bring it on.
I'll try to mentally divert it your way. I'm like, send Jonathan rain now.
You're gonna do like an Indian brain dance or whatever.
Yeah,
is that okay to say these days? I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna be talking about the film Mutant Vampires from Planet Neptune, which we saw like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks,
yes,
yeah.
whatever, when we were originally gonna do this. But I remember it. It was a very memorable movie.
Yes.
So basically, as I've said like twice already, so this third time saying it, this is a Indiegogo project, and I guess they got all their funds and they were able to make it. And that is amazing when people are able to go out there and do the movie that they can't wait to see, us see and everything make. But here's the IMDb synopsis for it. So 5 friends embark on a weekend of partying at a secluded cabin where, unbeknownst to them, a murderous space vampire lurks in the shadow. So one thing I want to be clear about is it says mutant vampires from the planet Neptune, but I think it really is just one vampire mostly. I think maybe at the end there's other ones, but I forgot.
There's I think 1 or 2 extra at the end. I think so.
Yeah, I think their plane their spaceship crashes, right?
Right.
And they are kind of I don't know. They're what is it? Put kind of dealing with Earth. And the first people they come in contact with are a group of tenters, people in tent, having sex like all these movies do.
I mean,
why not, right? And I mean, I don't know. I've never had sex in a tent. I've never have. That's just something I haven't experienced yet.
Well, you never know. Maybe you will one of these days, Jonathan.
Hey, man, there's still time.
There is.
That's all I'm going to say. But that's never happened to me. However, so the guy gets told like there's something out there. I remember that like specifically. There's something out there, and she's like, "What if it's a bear?" And the guy's like, "If it's a bear, I don't want to go out there. Like, what am I going to do?" So he ends up checking on it, and no, it's not a bear, and it's not the space vampire, but instead it's a serial killer, I guess, that's out in the woods.
I couldn't tell if it was a serial killer, if it was a psychiatric patient. I don't know exactly who that was.
Yeah, he was like he was a little crazy and decided just go and kill these two. And as he's about to go kill the girl, because he's already killed the guy, so he's about to kill the girl, the space vampire comes and kills all of them. Kills the rest. So the other 2, so they're all dead. And then we've talked about this before. I don't know where they put the bodies. I'm guessing he brings them to the ship or something.
They didn't really point that out. They didn't point out because we never knew what happened to the bodies. We don't know if they got put on the ship or if the alien found a way to make make them disappear. We really have no clue of what happened to the bodies after it killed them.
Right, because we do see the tent later on, and we'll bring that up later, but we do see the tent later on, but that's it. Like, we don't see anything else. Like, we don't see any of the humans so that were there. So anyway, after all that craziness, we get to meet our main cast, I believe. And then the main cast is what is it? I'm gonna look at these names. I'm really bad. Sorry, it's just been a long time. So first of all, there's I guess was his name. There's one guy named Buzz. There was a Buzz and Billy. I'm just looking at people's names right now, but they're not necessarily telling me. So I think Billy was the nice guy, right? Sort of nicer guy with the sister.
Yeah, I think that was him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was the nicer of the two, I believe.
Yeah. Unless Yuri. There's a Yuri here, and I'm not sure which one that was. Anywho, we'll go with that. And then Buzz, not sure. I remember we hadn't seen it in a while, so we're trying to remember the characters' names too. And then, but there was Star, who was one of my favorite characters, and that's okay. By the way, her real name is amazing. It's Jax Kellington.
I freaking like that dude.
I know, man. You know, I'm a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan.
Yeah.
So it's great to see kind of Jax Skellington. I'm pretty sure that's not her real name.
I'm thinking that's got to be her stage name. Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool if her parents actually that was their last name and then they called her Jax. I mean, that's some cool parents right there, man. I swear.
I think too cool of parents. I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, probably not.
Then there's Cassiopeia. That is the other main girl, and or Cassiopeia, something like that. She was the really cute like main girl too. So her and Star were like the main two girls in the group, and then there was Larissa, who was the sister.
Yes.
And you know, I mean, at first, I'm not gonna lie. At first, she kind of annoyed me a little bit, because the sister, because I was like, why is she even here in this trip? Like, you know, right? Like, and she was rude to everybody all the time, and I was like, dude, they're like inviting you to like come to this party and hang out, you know?
You know, and it could have been one of those cases too that you know, bigger brother trying to be nice, inviting his sister along to party with the friends, or you know, who knows the reason why she had to come along. But yeah, there for the beginning, through most of the film, she just was like, oh my God, my brother's friends are so annoying, you know. And then, you know, eventually she's like trying to join in or whatever and be part of the cool crowd, because I guess.
But only because she hears the two girls like kind of talking trash behind her back and stuff, or what they think is behind her back. And then she's just like, you know, fine, I'll join them. I'll show them, you know, who can have a good time. And then she kind of, I don't know, she kind of makes a kind of, she actually, I mean, she gets trashed a little bit. So it's kind of cool. But only because like, it was cool because you got to see her like loosen up, you know, like before then you're just kind of like, she is like really tight and just not like, you know, everything is sarcastic to her. And kind of reminds me of I did a movie called called Zombie Isle that I acted in, and there was a character that I knew that that you know was with me at times, and she was just sort of like always correcting everybody. And I guess that's just like a typical thing of somebody who's always there to correct you or tell you you're wrong or whatever. You know, it's a common trope. It's sort of like, and you know what? This is a love letter to like 80s and 90s, like throwback, creature, kind of sci-fi alien invasions type stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of like stereotypical characters and stuff, but didn't bother me. It's just sort of at first I was sort of like, oh God, is she going to be like this the whole time?
Yeah,
This is
I
going to be
know.
a one joke they're going to kind of keep putting to the ground, but anyway. Anyway, so at first when we meet Jax and or no, Star, sorry. We meet Star and Cassiopeia. They are in the booth, for food. And at first, Star is rude as hell.
Yeah.
To, I think like the waiter or server or whatever. And I was just like, okay, like these characters are gonna be people like because I felt at first like these people are gonna be people you're gonna want to root to die,
Right.
and then sort of just like uh was it the sister starts to sort of rub on you and get you like okay with her and everything. So does all the characters sort of you kind of feel terrible that this is all happening to after a while. You start actually liking all of them.
Oh yeah.
But I think the main guy's name was Yuri, I'm gonna say. And
So
it was a little weird, like sort of weird names, I guess, through it, which was kind of cool too, because not stuff you normally hear.
you never hear like things like Billy and John and just
Amy.
Amy. Yeah, Amy's always a one you hear in like horror flicks. So hearing these really weird names, it just definitely sticks out as different. And it's something you don't normally hear. So that was kind of cool how they use different names there. I kind of did like that as well.
And we got a little cameo by Sean C. Phillips, and
Yes. Yep.
doing his little vlogging and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really cool to see him in there for a minute. I thought first when I took a glimpse, I'm like, is that Sean? And I was like, oh yeah, that is Sean.
Well, he does that a lot where he kind of films his own stuff and then sends it, or whatever, and then sends it to them, and they just fit it in some way, like somebody's watching it on TV
Yeah.
or looking at their computer and watching Sean vlog, or whatever. Maybe I don't think he paid for a part. I think they,
No, I think he just they had him go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
He's done
I
it
thought
a
that was
few
pretty cool.
times. Yeah, that is cool. I kind of did like that a little bit.
I did too. So like they're all going, so they all go and they decide to go hike up, and I was like so confused. So I thought they were gonna do tents and everything, but instead they were, they were going to a cabin, or whatever, lake house, cabin.
That did throw me off too, because all the equipment they were carrying, I thought that they were going like what was it, like so many miles that they were hiking to get to this campsite, and then all of a sudden we find out it's a cabin. It was
Yep.
Threw me off. I wasn't expecting that.
Yep. But so I feel like we get a couple different movies and like we get like the Evil Dead mixed in with the Friday the 13th.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's like all those different sort of things. But so they decide that when they're gonna hike up the trail and go there, they're gonna smoke pot on the way. And I thought that was a little weird,
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, man. Just for most people I know, they don't like go for like I don't know how many miles of a hike in the woods and get high first at a time. Usually, they get high after they get to a place where they're chilling.
Right.
But I mean, to each
that's
their
like
own.
A reward, you go on your hike, then you smoke your pot.
Yeah. I mean, but to each their own. I don't know. Maybe there was a way if they could just really enjoy the walk and the experience. I don't know.
Dude, they should have done like shrooms or something. Just be walking acid, like oh my God, I'm enjoying nature.
Oh man, that would have made the terror of that creature like attacking him even worse, man.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, like one of them just took too much shrooms, and then all of a sudden they see the creature, but he looks even crazier because he's then they're like, who the hell are you?
That
Um,
would be intense, man.
that is pretty funny. But no, they end up smoking pot and going on their little excursion, and then they reach two hikers who are on a date from Tinder, I guess. A Tinder date.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, I mean, I don't know. Most Tinder people, I don't know personally, but I wouldn't imagine like, people meeting on Tinder and meeting and going into the woods and camping for the first date. But then again, I don't know. To each their own, I guess. But
I guess, yeah.
that's weird.
Um, yeah. Then what is it? After the after that they pull the one dude aside, the main guy, and the girl goes with them. Cassiopeia goes with them, and they go and check out the tents, and we notice that
Yeah.
everybody's gone. That's when we first are like, oh my goodness. And then they go on their own way, and they go back, meet up the crew, and go back to the cabin, while the two Tinder people are walking along and talking about stuff, and it's just awkward. It's like
Yeah.
the most awkward date I've ever watched somebody be
Yeah.
on. And so I kind of felt like, I don't know. We've talked about it before. We think that maybe a lot of these parts were like people who paid for parts and stuff, maybe too.
Yeah, because that I don't know. The acting there did seem like it was a little awkward
It
and
was, I mean, I don't know if it was written or if that a lot of it was improv, but
I wonder if that was improv, man. I don't know.
um,
And those could have been paid perks, the walk on roles or speaking roles. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, just with some Indiegogo films, I mean, you do have a lot of those sometimes, and so they could have very well been those type of perks. You never know.
we had you come out for our film, so thank you for doing that,
Oh, dude,
and
it was
everything.
awesome. And it just so happened that luckily for you all that I actually had a little bit of experience. So
Right. So
it did help
you
me.
were just somebody who, like just came out and never acted before and wanted to
Right.
try it. You're somebody who was like, hey, I want to come out to Virginia and play with these guys, or
Yeah.
whatever, and
It was a
have
blast,
fun,
dude. It was a
you know.
blast.
Yeah, it was a blast. So then we had so then they go, well, those two Tinder people die,
Right.
of course.
Yeah.
Because
Of course.
anybody who's like sort of not of the main group, you're pretty sure in a horror film they're gonna die. If they're introduced and they're like in the midst of all the stuff, like not people at the cafe or something, maybe at the cafe too, you never know.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
these things, but most of the time it's like people who are just walking around and in the same vicinity as them at the same time, they end up dying.
Oh yeah.
Um, so of course, I would have been disappointed if they had lived, you know.
Yeah, that would have, yeah. Just because typical slasher films, not all of them, but yeah, most of the time, if it's not a main character, if it's just a little one like those, then yeah, they typically would get killed off like one right after the other. So
Hmm.
that would have been different if all of a sudden like the Tinder dates, whatever, ended up like surviving to the end.
You
That
know
would have
what? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people start doing stuff like that because they have to. They have to shock the audience into like,
yeah, just because it's like, okay, so we're expecting, these people to die, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute,
they're the
they're
ones
not
who
the main
lived.
cast. They lived. The main cast died and they lived. What the hell?
Well, I've been taught actually through screenwriting, you're not allowed to kill off your main character, you know?
That is supposedly against the rules, yeah,
Yeah,
because
you're not, unless you have like a supporting character who is so close to being the main character that it can kind
yes.
of switch to the main character. There have been movies where they do that, but like generally speaking, you're not supposed to, unless like everybody dies at the end, then that's one thing.
Unless the main character it's a journey of change that is leading from where they were at to where they are now, and there are certain circumstances where the main character can be killed off, but yeah, it has to meet certain criteria for it to be um, allowed in the story in a sense. But
Hmm.
yeah, there has to be like a supporting character that survives but is kind of close related, or towards the end of the story becomes just as vital or important as the lead character, the main character.
Exactly. Um, so anyway, they get to the cabin. There's, I think, 3 rooms. I want to say 3 or 4 rooms. I want to say that the one girl that's all by herself, the sister,
Yeah.
she is in her own room.
Mhm.
She has a bathroom,
Yeah,
and I
she
think they
does.
did that for her, or at least the brother did that for her because she, she's all by herself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of rude to like make her, have to go to somebody else's bathroom. You know what I mean? She's all by
Right.
herself. She's, and it was upstairs, which was weird because it felt like some of the rooms were like downstairs too. The bedrooms were downstairs too. So, and then so the two couples have their own bathroom, you
Yeah.
know, and a bathroom, bedroom, and I guess, and so they're sharing, even though the guy's like, I could sleep on a couch if you want, and she's like, no, why would I want that? We're
Yeah.
dating now, which I guess they hadn't hooked up yet, so
Probably not yet. Probably not.
and they weren't going to. That wasn't in the cards for them, I guess,
No,
because
apparently it wasn't. It wasn't meant to be in the film,
not in the film world. So anyway, they go on and all decide to drink and smoke and do crazy shit, and they drink, or they're drinking, and they mention the girl. So the girl decides to go and drink, like we said earlier. She ends up drinking with them, and she ends up kind of partying hard, all the while the brother is out there looking. He sees something out there and he's not sure what it is. But there's something out there, which I guess is the I guess is the Neptune monster. Mutant vampires. Now, I was really disappointed. That's called Mutant Vampires from planet Neptune. And he doesn't really like bite anybody's neck. He doesn't turn anybody into a mutant vampire. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. I think literally somebody, that the director or writer, came up with the title and was like, "This is a really cool title," and then just didn't really do like what I thought this movie would be about.
Yeah, because you're right. He didn't do bite anybody or turn anybody into another mutant vampire. Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised with that because I was expecting mutant vampires, first of all, to be plural, and throughout the most movie it's just the one. And then I didn't see any like attack biting anybody's neck. So yeah, that was the name itself kind of threw it off a little bit.
Maybe if they had more funding or something, they could have done more. But sadly, they made what they made, and they made it. I think they had like $6,000 or more, maybe, to make this movie, and they went out and fucking made a movie, dude. Like, congratulations.
And they did, and the mask for the creature was actually really well done.
I think the mask for the creature was already made before the movie, because like I've been seeing these like promos for it on the Indiegogo. So I'm wondering if like they already had like, I think they had that guy right there, right there.
Yeah.
And they said, what does he look like to you? And they're like, a mutant vampire from planet Neptune. It's like, there you go. And so, you know what I mean? Like, but then they didn't give him any attributes of a vampire. So it might as well have just been mutant from planet Neptune, which I guess doesn't sound cool,
it doesn't sound as cool as mutant vampires or
back in the 80s and 90s, mainly 80s, there was a big surge of movies with big ass titles, and stuff, and combining stuff. Like I watch like I'll laugh so much at like TV shows of like Saved by the Bell or whatever, or even The Simpsons or something, but they'll talk about certain like zombie something, or whatever.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, like that's kind of cool, you know, like that's a cool title. And
Yeah.
I think at that time periods, 80s and 90s, that's really what it was. So, I think this movie, Mutant Vampires from Planet Neptune,
Neptune.
which they don't even explore that idea of it being on Neptune. Like, you don't get any kind of that was another bummer of it. Like, you didn't get any kind of storyline about the the aliens, you know? You
No,
didn't
you
really get to
just
know anything about them.
you all you did was just seen their spacecraft get crashed. I mean, and so they yeah, they don't imply or go into anything else about being Neptune or any of that. It was just and it could have been budget wise. Maybe they couldn't do that. I mean, who knows? But I don't know.
So anyway, the I guess everybody's high and crazy, and the girl disappears. The sister disappears. I remember that. I guess she walked out into the woods or something and got
Yeah.
take got killed or whatever. But you don't. I have a feeling like this sounds terrible, but I feel like that actress like couldn't make it for the rest of the shoot, and so they're like, she just disappeared, and then
Honestly, I can see that happening. I can see where something happened where she couldn't be there for those shoots, so they just kind of had to improvise like what happened, or
I
something.
guess I don't know. There's no explanation. So anyway, she ends up disappearing, which was like, all right, cool, that happened. And then the vampire starts coming and trying to attack everybody.
Oh
And
yeah,
my girl Star, God, I keep calling her Jax because that's her real name.
that's okay.
Um, my girl Star dies, which I was really mad. Wanted her to live.
I know.
Um, I think she died, right? She died at the end.
I think
Because I know she was like attacked in like the closet, like, right? She was like hiding out or whatever, and the thing comes after her, and then she like fights it off and then dies.
I think so. I think you're right.
And then the other guy dies. The kind of the meaner of the two guys.
Yeah.
Kind
Wasn't he the one that was all concerned about drinking and getting laid?
That's all he wanted to do. Like,
Yeah.
that's all he cared about. You know, he didn't care about having a good time, whatever, hanging out with friends. He just wanted to get
No.
laid and drink and have a good and party. Which, I mean, that's a big deal with a lot of these movies and these characters. As just partying and having a good time and all that. So, anywho, yeah, he ends up getting killed. I think he was the first of that like four people to die.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was.
And then the main guy does die, I believe. And then the only one who lived or so was the Cassiopeia. And I think wasn't she one of them or something? Like, was there like some kind of tie-in where she was
I
maybe like
see. I
actually
don't know. I don't know because it showed her, and then the noise behind her or something, and then there was one there, and then another one popped up. So it never. I don't know if it implied that that was her or if it was. I don't know. That was unclear to
I think
me.
what I was trying to imply was that she was what they came to Earth to find. But once again, if it was, they didn't explain it enough.
No,
Where like I would have liked an explanation of like, you know, her like turning into the mutant vampire at the end and then saying, like in their language or whatever, saying it took you long enough with like subtitles, like took you long enough to find me, or whatever, or if they wanted to do it where it tricked her too, she could look like she's scared, and then they could be like, you are one of us. We sorry we left you here, blah blah blah, right? That kind of
yeah,
thing. But
and it
I don't
could,
know.
and
It's they just have to have some kind of weird ending where it doesn't give you, you
that
know,
right there, and they could have done that to also leave it up to interpretation too. Um, I don't
right.
know.
But I hate that. I'm not
I
gonna
know.
lie. It gets annoying because like everybody thinks it's so cool. Oh man, now people can talk about it and everything. Um, the problem I have with it is, um, if you, it almost it makes people feel like they don't know what the fuck they don't even know what the fuck it is, right? So like, some directors like, oh man, I'm gonna leave it up to interpretation, right?
Right.
Because I don't know what I know what their answer is, but you don't. No, you don't. You just make up this like, how do I end this? Okay. They all show up and she's surrounded and it looks like she's going on the ship, or whatever, and that she's gonna join them. So what does that mean? Does that mean she's with them? Does that mean, it's up to interpretation. I hate that crap. There's too many. I've been doing 31 days of indie horror. This is my third season. And second and first season both had those kind of movies too. And it just drives me nuts because I want a conclusion, like I want to know what the hell happened. Now, you can do it where it's weird and wacky. Like, I don't know if you've seen a movie called what was it? It was a Sasquatch movie. But anyway, it was a really weird Sasquatch movie, Bride of Sasquatch or something like that, or whatever.
Okay.
And Sasquatch, Bigfoot's Bride. That's what it's called. And it ends really effing weird, right?
Really?
Like completely left field. Like, okay. And I didn't like it, my buddy John Ward loved that. He thought that was great. Oh my God, that's this kind of movie, or whatever. So I would have loved it if it kind of went a little weirder or did something where I could understand sort of what happened, in a way.
Right.
But yeah, it ended sort of, I don't know, to me a little abruptly, and also it would have been cool if they sort of set it up for like mutant vampires from Planet Neptune 2, or mutant vampires versus Planet Neptune, or mutant vampires from Planet Neptune verse,
Yeah.
something else, or whatever. Like that was going to be what they were going to do for the sequel, but I'm kind of glad a lot of movies these days end with something just happening or whatever, where it can just end,
Yeah.
where you don't need a sequel, because most likely a lot of independent films don't get sequels.
No, they don't. And honestly, depending on what it is, I've seen some films where they tried to do a sequel and it was unbearable to watch.
Yeah.
So sometimes the sequel's not always the best thing. And yeah, a lot of independent films, like you said, due to scheduling or this and that, a lot of times independent films don't have sequels. And so, I kind of agree with you on that in a sense, man.
Now we forgot to mention there were 3 other campers that are like there too, and I forgot about them. But actually, an actress that I know of, Crystal Lavero, was in that scene, in the scene, and like there's 2 girls and a guy and everything, and it was.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, I do.
What happened that scene? I'm trying to remember. I remember that 2 girls and a guy being there, and I thought it was a little weird scene or something. Once again, felt like filler for. Okay, we only have this amount of time left, we got to kill off some more random people.
Yeah, it was random. It was really, really kind of random. I mean, didn't one guy and girl go off and then the other was the other girl by herself or something? I'm trying to remember, man.
I wanted to say it was something to do with like a threesome or something, but I'm not.
Yes, no, you're right. It was.
Yeah, because like all 3 of them are in bed or something, right?
Yes, I think you're right. That's right. And
it was like
it was almost like, yeah, like they just needed to throw in like, some fillers with more people getting killed. I mean, and maybe that's not what they were trying to do, but it did kind of seem that way.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I think there was like were they at a tent again? or
Yeah, they were
something.
they were they were in a tent. And they all were in the same bed. That's right.
Yeah, in the same like cuddle up together or something. And I'm just
Yeah,
like, okay, we didn't we already see this sort of in the beginning of the movie? I mean, it's not a threesome, but there are three people and then they get killed by what I mean? So it, it had that stuff going, but it sort of was still, I don't know, like once again, when you see those things, just if you watch enough of these horror films, you go, oh man, that's filler. You can tell,
yeah,
like, and sort of takes away from the story. Like, um, when I try to write horror films these days, I try to keep it where the dialogue between the characters and stuff are interesting, you know, right?
yeah,
Enough where, like, say you have five people, like the main people, a lot of it concentrates on that. Then maybe one of them goes off into the woods by themselves to go smoke weed, gets killed by the thing. There, other people go out looking, whatever. But like that takes some more time. They're all talking. That takes 10 whatever minutes. You know, like you just have to time it out. But when you put these people in there, like once again, I think we've talked about it. I think it's Indiegogo people, right? Actors and stuff. And some not. I don't know if Crystal Lavero was, but I think she was actually somebody who came in to the project. You know, when you have that, I understand you got to put them in there somewhere, but
well, yeah,
when you kind of put them in and they're just being killed off because there's one we just did. One of the girls and I just did for 31 days, like last one or so. Uh, basically had a bunch of filler, right? And it
yeah.
it felt awkward. It was like, who are these people? Why do they get killed? Like, why are we watching this? Like, why can't we concentrate more on like the main person? What
Yeah,
he's doing. You know, like, and that becomes a problem I have with these films. So my suggestion to indie filmmakers out there, and you can listen to me or you can not, I don't care, but you're going to make your movie either way. My thing is, when you write the script out, write out really good scenes, really good characters, interesting characters who are doing, easy way to do it is somebody is pregnant, you know, so that's an easy thing to kind of identify with people. Like, how am I going to tell this person I'm pregnant? So you're going to wait the whole time, and then also you feel bad if they get attacked. Then you're like, there's a little baby inside that person, like you don't want that person to die, so it gives you what I mean, things like that. Humanizes the characters. But when you have these characters who are, I don't know, kind of
It's almost
more.
like there's no connection to the story in a sense. It's almost just like they're just there.
Yes, exactly. You get my
Yeah,
point. They're
yeah,
just these characters, these threesomes, these now the Tinder dates had a reason. They were there to show the people that this crazy stuff
right.
was going on, but then it really didn't matter. Once those people saw the tents, they were just like, okay, we're gonna keep going. I'm
Yeah, it
like,
did. That's what too is. It's like, are you not concerned how there's somebody's 10 out here, but then they're not here
right.
because they're the
Obviously, they
people.
either got lost or they were killed, or they even said something about the bear. Like, apparently that's a big deal, is like there's a bear out and they're
Mm,
all hiking and shit. Like,
I know,
where like
right?
bears could just be at, I don't know. It was crazy. Um, but I was just like, there was no point, like, other than to show the audience that they're over in the same area as but we kind of would assume, right? Like, if
Yeah,
they're going to go there, we're not going to assume they're going to a completely different camping site than these people that just died from the thing. We're going to assume that. And especially, all we need to do that is somebody show a picture of the mutant vampire watching them.
right.
Is, if he's not a vampire, he can be in the daylight. Apparently he can, because he's
Right.
killed in the daylight. I mean, he does not have attributes of a vampire.
No.
Might as well have called it mutant zombies from planet Neptune. I mean,
Something like that.
mutant
Yeah.
mutants from planet. I don't know. Whatever. Didn't matter. But anyway, point was that it wasn't that needed, but it was kind of, all in all, I didn't hate the movie. You know, I felt like the movie was pretty good. That had some really fun moments to it. It was not over long. It was actually short.
Yeah.
Not short, like too short, but it was short enough of running time where, you're not bored. And especially with Tubi, you watch it because that's where I watched it. You watch those movies on Tubi, you see a lot of commercials.
Yeah.
Tubi has to make money, man. So they put in like 6 commercials now, per, sitting, per like 15 minutes or something. So you watch 15 to 20 minutes from 6 commercials, you know. Somehow or another, I think I figured out. I hope Tubi does not see this, but I figured out a way to sort of beat it. I think is if you get to like the end of where it's about to tell you, it's like, you've got 5 seconds before the commercial, right? If you click pause like right before then, sometimes it skips the commercial.
Wow.
But but then it'll still come like, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes later. You have to try to do it again, and sometimes that won't work. Just giving you what I learned. I don't know if it works all the time, but it worked for me a couple times, so I know that for a fact. Anywho, but I the movie was pretty good. It just, I feel like there's a lot of little things that kind of make it not as good as it could be. Like, I feel like this could have been a really, really fun, exciting, movie done, but with a limited budget, and there was a little nudity, which always a plus, to have that. I mean, you can't complain. I believe her name was Nicolette Pullen, the girl who played Amy in the beginning of the movie. She did a little bit of nudity, not a whole lot, but she did. It was nice, to have that kind of stuff in these movies, because it's sort of what you expect. When you don't have them, like my movies, I don't really have them.
No.
It's usually because I just don't. We have him in this movie, we have him in that movie. Like, that's enough. They don't need to be in mine. They can be in this movie.
Because you do notice that there are some films out there, independent not, that they overdo it. The nudity.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I kind of like in yours, John, that you don't really have that in there just because it's different. Because it's like, oh well, that's in every other one, so it's kind of like leave it to the imagination.
Well, you get that, and then you get the opposite people who are like, "Where's the fucking nudity?" And I'm like, go watch a porn. They're free on X videos or something, Pornhub. Go over there, do that, because like that's the biggest problem right now is we don't need so much nudity. This movie had like what, 1 maybe 2 scenes. I don't remember if the threesome had any.
Yeah, it was barely 1 or 2 scenes. It wasn't that much.
Yeah. So. And then it wasn't gratuitous. It wasn't like there was no reason. One of my actresses talked about how she had, somebody would make up a scene where she's like running through the woods, and then all of a sudden a tree branch would take her top off. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, I don't get it. I've never gotten it. I never was like one of those people who just loved, that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
But I don't mind them in these kind of movies. If you watch this movie, you're kind of sort of with the title, you sort of kind of expect it, I believe, but with that being said, I think that about covers it. I think we talked the whole thing, and we survived.
Yeah, we did.
Oh my God. I think the gods of mutant vampires from planet Neptune were just like, yeah, all right, fine, we'll let them pass.
finally
I don't
let
know.
us on the, what is it, the third time? Was that what we
The
did?
third's a charm, right? I mean, that's
Third,
what I
three times
hear.
a charm. Yeah, three times a
Yeah,
charm.
that's what I've heard. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much, Dale, because this is a lot of fun. I love
Oh yeah.
this sort of, talking, about this stuff, especially with people who are in the industry. Sometimes it's fun to talk to people who aren't in the industry, but more and more so talk to people who are in the industry because they sort of, especially horror industry, sort
Yeah.
of know, what it's like and everything.
Oh
So,
yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
but everybody, check in tomorrow. There'll be a brand new episode. Can't say what it is because I have no idea. It's sort of where I'm doing this by the seat of my pants. So if but I'm also not saying what days that this is going to be so that I can mix it up if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the way it's got to be this year. This year has been the hardest year, honestly. And last year was not nearly as bad for some reason, but this year it just everybody's so busy. It's 2022. Everybody is back. They're doing shit. They're not on Zoom anymore. And so I think next year I'm gonna have to next season I'm gonna have to start at January or something because I started this in February, March, but only did a couple in the beginning, and stuff. Now I just got to breeze through for a month or something and just make this as just get this done as much as I can as quickly as I can because this is just driving me nuts. But anyway, once again, thank you so much for this. This has been awesome. Everybody else, thank you guys for checking this out. If you guys like the review, give us a like. If you guys didn't like the review, let us know what you guys thought. If we were wrong, please enlighten us. We would love to hear that. I love conversations about indie film and especially if you're part of the film itself and you have some insider information about why we're wrong, please tell us. We will be very grateful for that. So with that being said, once again, thank you guys so much, and thank you, Dale, and join me next tomorrow for another day. All right, everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
It was a blast.